Hi there and welcome to another video of Measureschool.com, where we teach you the data-driven way of digital marketing. My name is Julian, and on this channel we do marketing tech reviews, tutorials and the occasional live session just like this one. So if you haven't yet, consider subscribing. Now today I want to quickly jump in and do a live session on Amplitude Analytics. Now that's a new tool that I have heard a few things about, really. It just came up in a podcast that I heard with the growth hacker, what's his name? Allison, something with Allison. And he said he's using it for his clients a lot, and it's making a headwind in Silicon Valley, so why not check it out? Now, to be honest, I don't have much experience with Amplitude Analytics. I have just installed it on our demo shop and tried a few things out, tried to figure out what are the differences, what are the similarities to something like Google Analytics, Mixpanel, and so on. And here's really my first impression. So if you haven't yet checked this tool out, then you can do so and follow along with me right now. So let's head over to our demo here. First of all, Amplitude Analytics. What is Amplitude Analytics all about? They say in the headline, understand the user behavior, build better products. So really, there's already a little bit of a distinction here, because when we think about build better products, then this is mostly developer analytics, or something that really can help people to build better products, understand products better. And that's a lot what the growth hacking mentality is also about, changing your developer roadmap, your feature roadmap through data. And Amplitude is obviously built for that, so we can look into that more. Once we scroll down here, there are familiar features. So we see, let's go into the product features here. They have product analytics. So there should be, where did I see that? Okay, analytics to help teams build better products. Yeah. So we have approachable analytics. This is like real-time charts, dashboards, so the presentation of the metrics itself. It's cross-platform. That's quite interesting. The attribution and the cross-platform capabilities of some tools, they have all different approaches to it. Like Google Analytics, obviously, the obvious downside is really that they can't permit any PII data, and therefore the user identification is sometimes a bit harder to approach with the user ID feature. You have user behavioral insights, so it's going more onto how users actually behave on the platform itself, rather than analytics about where they're coming from and so on, and scalability. So obviously it's pretty good for teams that build bigger products, all about products analytics. So let's dive in. I've signed up to Amplitude, and I have different projects here. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is what you see in the product itself. They have a demo account that we can look into and actually start exploring. What I've noticed right away, when you build your own project, these dashboards are actually not standard reports that are there. You need to build everything from scratch. So here's something that has been actually built for you. There are some interesting metrics here. So if you look at sources and content, that's always the report that I go into Google Analytics first. We see some of where the users came from, some retention metrics here. If you have a SaaS business, for example, some behavioral statistics about played songs. We have referrer information here again, and times played in the different categories. Now, this seems to be very, very custom data. So this needs to be sent in somehow. And apparently, Amplitude has a pretty open data structure, so it's just based on page views or sessions. It doesn't give you as a strict model as Google Analytics. That has been a strength of a lot of different other tools like Mixpanel or Kissmetrics, where we really can model our analytics, or our data model is modeled after the business that we are going after, and looking into that. So this is quite interesting. You can also probably send revenue data in, as we see here. You can send an A/B testing data. Now, I haven't found anything out about if you can do a B test right into the product itself. Now, this open data structure is obviously not only for businesses that operate on the website, but also on the mobile side. So it's very flexible in terms of mobile trackability. So that's quite interesting. And normally you would then need to go ahead and build your own reports. So we can build a new report here into this demo account and create this report. And you see nothing is really filled. Now you can start building your charts in cohorts, and we have some pre-built reports here apparently. So let's go here with the conversion first purchase. Okay, so how do I actually add this now? As I said, I'm not, okay, add to dashboard right here, that's the button. So that's a quite nice report already without doing much. Now, if I wanted to go in and do something more special and create a chart, I guess, from the ground up, let's go with event segmentation. We would have our events that we have sent in. Now, I don't know what's in this demo account, like abandoned cart, all right. And then the users that sent this in. So this is all user-based. There's nothing about sessions or page views in that sense. You need to probably send in this information explicitly, or it's done implicitly that they actually, the JavaScript code picks that up from the website itself. DMA, not sure what that is. Okay, event ID equals. So they have different operators here, very nice. Set contains doesn't match. So pretty sophisticated, all right. None, okay, let's go with none. And then this is probably your segmentation here, your events, your segmentation, and then you get your data in a nice breakdown. Unfortunately, there's nothing in here. Let's get rid of this segment and just go with all users. So here we see, like Google Analytics, we have a chart here, and underneath the actual table of the data itself. So that's quite familiar. Now, if I wanted to add a dimension to this, how would I do this? Probably not down here. We would have segments, I guess. That would be a segment. Okay, so we would just say, let's say device type. We want to break this down by device. Okay, there's also no data in there. So it's quite, let's put in another segment. Okay, cohort. Do we have cohorts? Yeah. Whale users, whatever that means. Something predefined. And so now we should have another dimension. Whale users. Okay, yes. So our dimensions here are the date, and then we have really different segments of our users groups here. I'm not sure if we could add in any other data such as ID type or something like that. That would probably need to go into a segment again. So pretty familiar here, I guess. And you can build different reports. Now they have some other charts here. Here we can browse the charts. Okay, this is the charts that I have built actually, and then I can add them to my dashboards. We have user activity. This seems to be more like the real-time reporting of Google Analytics. So we can see live event updates, I guess. 100 new events. I'm not sure why this is in reverse order. 9 hours, 10 hours. Then it goes down and goes up again. Okay, here you can probably debug your events or see what a specific user is doing. Then we have behavioral cohorts. Now, cohorts just another name for a group of people, which is probably also like a segment that you define in your program. I guess when you have an application, just like a mobile app, you would make this much tighter than in Google Analytics. You would have your people who are in one user group, who have heavy users, and so on. So you break that down in cohorts, and then you have that available in the system itself. And so there's an extra builder for that. So quite convenient, I guess, for people who have that clear distinction in their systems as well. And then we have SQL. Now, I've read a bit about this. Now, SQL actually gives you access to Amazon Redshift. Now, I asked myself, is this an external Redshift instance that I can connect to, or is this connected to my Amplitude account? So does Amplitude actually put this into, whoops, now my camera went off. This sometimes happens as well. So let's see. Now you can just hear my voice, all right. Let's go on. So SQL is something that is only available to, or is with this Amazon Redshift account. Now, does this mean that Amplitude actually puts my data into an Amazon Redshift instance, and now I can get that data out of here? It seems so, and I can simply put in some SQL queries here. I don't know how I can get rid of this, hide these tips, okay? So I should be able to put in a simple select statement. Let's say select from, and then we have our tables here. So we can say app, or is this a table? No, the table here is this table. So we can choose the tables here. So let's go with this app here. Okay, and yeah, let's query that. Now, unfortunately, I cannot click on compute. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's too much data. Where app equals. No, I can't click on this compute. Maybe that's blocked in this demo account. I don't know. That's something to figure out later on. All right. Let's see a little bit about what data can we actually send in. Now that we have seen the interface and how you could work with data, how flexible is it actually to send data in? Now, I have set up here a demo account under settings, I guess. Here we have our projects, and no, this is the project of our. Not sure why. Should be able to get back to my organization. Amplitude demo account. Manage my projects. I set up a demo account earlier that I can't find anymore. That's funny. Let's see if I just log in like this again. Yes. And now I should be able, okay, here's my demo account that I have actually built. So we have the demo shop in here already. I signed everything up, and you get an API key. And with that API key, you get the possibility to send in data. Now, how can you actually send in data? They have different possibilities, and they give you many different options, obviously through an API, HTTP API, which would be like the measurement protocol for Google Analytics. We can send in data via different SDKs, Android, iOS, Unity, and so apparently it's also connectable to, or is heavily built for game developers. And I obviously take the JavaScript API, so I can show you how to do that. Now, I have simply taken the installation steps here. So like the Facebook Pixel or the Google Analytics instance, we would have a base tracking code that you can simply install into Google Tag Manager if you choose so, and fire this on all pages. This will take the library and then go ahead and set this up. the instance for us with your API key. And then you can go ahead and send in custom data, and these are in form of events. So here's an event call that I logged once I clicked the Add to Cart button. That's something I've set up here. So that's something we can then see on the demo shop itself. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if there's an extension for this, but then it sends in the data and should be available in your account itself. So it took a while to actually get this working. I sent the data in, I got a response from the API saying, or no response, there was no error. So I guess it worked, and then I got nothing into the account, and it said set up your first event, which I couldn't do, or wasn't able to send in data. But then after, I guess, an hour or so, I checked back and I saw that there was some events actually logged. And this event call that we have right here, the event type, is pretty flexible. So we can send in data, whatever data we want, and we have actually a nice filter option within the section here, where we can say, okay, I want to filter all these people out that came from this event, which is cool because if somebody steals my API key and puts it into his account, he could ruin my data and the data quality would go down. Or if you simply don't want to track something anymore because it hurts your data, you could just build in the filter, like in Google Analytics. We also have annotations. Now, what are these annotations about? Okay, like Google Analytics, you could put in annotations. I don't know where they actually would show up, but that's obviously a good feature in terms of housekeeping and making sure once a big event hits, or you release a new game, you launch a new game or whatever, you put that into your annotations. So very flexible here as well. Then we have integrations, and integrations are also interesting. So for games, for example, if you have Google Play, iTunes, where did the users come from? That's something that Google Analytics also provides. If you are an app user, if you are obviously a Firebase, now it's called Google Analytics for Firebase. If you're a user of that tool, that's also an integration that they have as well. I think I wouldn't compare really Amplitude right now to Google Analytics or the web tracking of Google Analytics, but rather Firebase Analytics, which is very much based on events itself. Okay, so as I said, this is pretty flexible in terms of what data you send in. I also looked up that you can send in some properties with these events. So as we saw in our segment builder, we will be able to actually put in data such as, say, somebody completes a level, with what score did he have? Right here we have event properties that are available as well, like in Facebook Analytics. These APIs are mostly built the same way, and this is really best practice. But I love the fact that you can take whatever stance you want and whatever data you want and push it in as a property as well. That's where Google Analytics is really a bit limited, because you only have events in terms of the properties are event action, label, and value. Other than that, you could also send in custom dimensions and so on with your events. But this is all hackery. Again, Google Analytics gives you a very strict model to work with. I guess these new tools that are out there, they much more make it open, whatever you want to send into the system, because Google Analytics works for a small set of businesses really well, but other sets not that well. So for example, for games, SaaS, and so on. That's what these tools all jump on, like Mixpanel, for example. Okay, now we come to the identification of the user properties, and this is the user itself. And this is something that Google Analytics isn't that good at. We can do user ID tracking, which is very beneficial, but hard to install. You need to wrap your head around it. You can't send in any PII information, so you can't use the email address for this. Now, when I look at the settings of the user property, so to identify a user, we have a lot of different methods here available to identify a user and to attach certain properties to that user as well. So for example, karma or let's say the user level that the user is on, or how many points he scored, whatever you want to send in is possible apparently through these methods of the API, which is really cool. The only thing that I couldn't really figure out, I guess they have a user ID. So you also set a user ID, and they don't really say if that can be an email address or not. Now, I know that Mixpanel encourages you to send in the email address. Now, there are privacy concerns, especially for companies in Europe, but going with a user ID is also a good idea. So if you have a unique key that is attached to a user in your CRM system or in your analytics system here, or wherever you store your user data, then this would be highly beneficial than sending in API information and so on. And that's quite good practice to use a user ID. Now, I don't know what their magic, or if they have any magic matching between other devices. So if your user logs in on another device, that's obviously tracked because the user actually logs in. But if he doesn't log in, does the code figure it out somehow automatically, like Facebook Analytics does. So that's something I would need to figure out in the sense. But as I said, again, we can send in this identification of the user and then properties with that user, which can be hugely beneficial when you build these cohorts. Something that is possible with Google Analytics, yes, but harder to do, I guess, because the data model really doesn't revolve around users, but rather page views and sessions. So again, a cool feature or cool expansion of this tool as well, to send in any kind of user information. Now, they have revenue tracking in here, which is always good if you have an e-commerce store, but I have the feeling that it's not really built for e-commerce in that sense. It has an open data model. It seems to me like something where a user logs in and he does something in the program. So let's take a Trello, or let's take a game that you have running on your Android device or so. Okay, now here comes a funny part about Google Tag Manager. Now they asked me to install this with different tools like Segment and so on. But I didn't actually say Google Tag Manager. I Googled for it, but I couldn't find it out. But it's pretty straightforward. If you have an instance of Google Tag Manager running on your site, you can just take the user. You can just take the normal route of installing the custom HTML tags here. They have a GitHub repository here, but somehow you need to download it to see it and install it on your Node.js server, I think. So yeah, I don't know. I just went ahead and installed it on a demo shot. It works. I didn't put in the user identification yet. That's always a bit more tricky with Google Tag Manager because you need to identify the user somehow, and so on. Okay, then we have UTM parameters, referrers, and GCLID, which is important for tracking any kind of inbound traffic for the landing pages that you tag with your UTM parameters, if you have Google AdWords running to your site. So apparently Amplitude will also pick that up by default, which is always a good practice, and a lot of people actually use these parameters as well. So yes, I think in hindsight, or in conclusion, so to say, with what we do here really quickly in our live session, I can say Amplitude for me is again one of these tools that tries to break out of the data model that is very set with Google Analytics. It rethinks the parameters in the sense that you can it's more event driven, and like a Mixpanel or like a Firebase Analytics is. You can use it on websites, which is a great advantage to what Firebase Analytics does. But it's very similar to Mixpanel from what I see. Now, the interesting part would be to see how product teams actually use it. So are they able to actually rapidly iterate with the data that they have, answer that question quickly, build these dashboards really quickly, and make sense of these dashboards? I think that is key. Now, a new tool, a new Google Analytics tool is always a bit of getting used to. Is it really faster than Google Analytics, or is it really faster than Firebase? I wouldn't think so. Now, Firebase Analytics has the great advantage that it's really apparently really easy to install, and a lot of people are using the other tool sets of Firebase, so they can you get automatic crash reporting and all that stuff. I haven't seen with Amplitude Analytics that they do anything magically here. So once I install the JavaScript, they will track everything for me and define the events and whatever. That's something that actually Facebook Analytics does now, and Google Analytics, obviously, they give you all these reporting, and Firebase Analytics. Now, this is obviously not a necessarily a downside of the tool, because I think always when you send in data intentionally into the tool and actually think about what data you need to have available in order to make the right decisions, run the right analysis, it's always more beneficial than saying, okay, I just have this data available by magic and now I don't know what to do with it. So Amplitude for me is, again, a tool that is probably very good for certain use cases, such as app tracking, such as SaaS businesses. On the other hand, it seems like it doesn't go the traditional route of like, okay, I'm gonna track everything for you or give you some more data, or give you more analysis up front. You need to build it for yourself, so you know how to build. And there's a lot. There's probably a steep learning curve. So once we jump back here, I actually saw that once you go into different pricing options, you get the dedicated success manager. So there's somebody who's helping you making this work. Now, I think that they have a really nice free starter plan. So you get 10 million monthly events. Now, I wouldn't even reach out with my page views, with my views on my YouTube videos. So that seems quite reasonable and quite big. They're also working on some nice features. So I saw that, where do we find? They have a Pathfinder feature, which we weren't able to discover. I wasn't really seeing this in our reports. But this seems to me like the flow analysis in Google Analytics a bit. So that is something that they new developed. Maybe there are gonna be some new cool tools that come out. The SQL functionality is something that is obviously for developers really nice, because they probably know how the database is built and know exactly what data they want to correlate and pull out of the system, and can run analysis ad hoc really quickly without looking into a interface here. That is something that Google Analytics provides through their 360 suite and BigQuery, but other than that, you probably won't encounter that too much. Oh, with Firebase Analytics, that's obviously something that you could export to BigQuery as well. There's something called Measureschool, which apparently is a feature where you can look into one user ID in detail and see what they have done through their lifetime of them visiting the site or their session. Now, that's something probably comparable to the User Explorer report within Google Analytics. What else did I see? They have obviously everything around the data itself, like the events, the properties, but then also the users itself and the cohorts that you can build around that. And then we have Compass here, and that's something I haven't seen in action and I couldn't really figure out. It's more about retention analysis, which obviously is for SaaS businesses that have recurring revenue, something that people are probably highly interested in, especially these metrics when we look at certain events, and then how predictive are they for user behavior, if they drop off or not. So there's something that you can definitely get insights on. Again, this is only usable for you people who actually look at that data post sign up, for example, in detail. Okay, that should be it with our little overview on Amplitude Analytics. I also call it Amplitude Analytics. It's called Amplitude. I don't know. I couldn't find it without putting the analytics behind it. Now, Amplitude is a business that has raised a bunch of venture capital. They probably are highly on course on acquiring new customers in the Silicon Valley and the US. So it's always a new hype that's going around there. And we see tools that raise venture capital. We don't know if they will survive in that sense. But I think they have a very robust product here already. They're iterating faster, probably. I haven't really following this tool too long than other tools. If we would compare it to Google Analytics, it's quite different. If you compare it to a Mixpanel, I wouldn't too much see the differences there, but obviously it always depends on the requirements that you have, and you need to go much deeper into the tool to see if it's beneficial for your business. So that said, I hope you liked our little live session today. If you have any questions and see this afterwards, please leave them in the comments below. And if you haven't yet, then consider subscribing right over there, because we'll bring you new videos and do these live sessions as well every week. Now, my name is Julian. Till next time.